You're listening to Well Met,
a
Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com.
Well met.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 118 of Well Met. We are a Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com. Today is July 31st, 2017, from Studio 5 in Denver, Colorado. I'm John Horstman. We've got a packed crew and a packed show this week. First, let's head on over to Nashua, New Hampshire, the resident wild expert extraordinaire, double X's. Triple X's and you start getting in trouble. We have to slap a mature filter on the podcast and stuff. But it's DannyDonuts. Hey, Danny.
Howdy, John. How's it going?
Going all right, man. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm excited to do a full card review for the first time.
Yeah, man. This is it. We got a little shafted last week on the card reviews, but we're gonna make up for it this week. We've got 16 cards, I think, that we're going to be going through. So it's going to be a hefty one for sure. Let's jump on over though to Kansas City, Royals fan. So yeah, anyways, hey JR, what? Sorry. I had something and I forgot it, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty typical actually. But no, I'm excited for spoiler season. Spoiler season is always fun time getting to go over card reviews. I just have to say though that my hype for this set has definitely gone down because we now have too many cards. You know, and my hype is dead because too many cards this week, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think we're all like, well, here's the thing, right? So last week a lot of people's hype was killed because we only got one card on Monday. And then we got just 15, 16 cards a day. It felt like just a ton.
Yeah, I think we've gotten 50 cards since our last show.
Yeah, so just a ton of cards. Well, it's last but not least, he's webcamless. So he's rocking the, what is it? Snow Flipper Penguin? Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. Anyways, yeah. Hey, Ray, how's it going, man?
It's going well. I'm really confused to why we went from New Hampshire to Kansas City instead of New Hampshire to 15 minutes away.
Oh, because in podcasts, geography doesn't matter. It's just who my favorite hosts are. From most favorite to least favorite, obviously.
Wait, what?
From most favorite to least favorite.
I thought we saved the best for that. Oh.
No, Ray, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Oh no. It was a good week though. It was a good week. Yeah.
Good. Well, hey, we've got a ton to talk about this week. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about our weeks in Hearthstone. Ray, you're on the clock, man. Did you lock up your spot here? Are you done with Hearthstone for the night?
No, I will not be done.
$5 says he plays through the entire show. $5. Any takers?
I can't. I would normally take that if my internet wasn't so.
That's true. You're having some internet issues. I forgot about that. Well,
so
you're being sabotaged. It's amnesiac.
Oh, no.
Taking down your internet.
Maybe.
Cool.
He could do it. He's only like a half hour away.
Is he now? I thought he was in California for some reason.
No, he's in Massachusetts.
Oh. Do you have your spot? Can you tell us where you're at or no?
I mean, I need to finish top 100.
You need to finish top 100?
Yeah, I'm hovering around 200-300.
Easy mode.
It's doable.
You'll get it.
It's doable.
You'll get it for sure. Well, good luck to you for the rest of the night, Ray. We wish you luck. Make Well Met proud. All that kind of stuff. Zanny, how did you do on the ladder this week, man?
Well, I'm around the same point, but on the legend ladder of Wild. So I'm around 235 or something. But that's because I was memeing around a good amount. Tested out Vorax, see how good it was in a bunch of different decks. And I think it's pretty good in Mill Druid.
Nice.
Whoa.
If you naturalize your Vorax,
they draw 4?
Draw 4.
Oh my god.
And
That's
then you
amazing.
add in a Genie of Zephyrs, and they draw 6.
Whoa. Dude, wild is pretty wild.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
Name, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of
Come
those.
on, John.
A boo for my least favorite co-host. Last but not least, JR, man, what are you up to this week in Hearthstone? You settled in?
I settled in at Dad Legend, and I called that good enough. I didn't make a push. I've just been logging in, doing my quests, doing the tavern brawls, doing the arena runs, just saving up as much gold as I can before this next set launches so that I can open up as many packs as I can for free.
How much gold do you have?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It's over 5,000. That's all I know.
It's over 5. That's not bad.
Between
dude.
5 and 6. Between 5 and 6.
That's
probably 50, 60.
That's like a full adventure, right? Like back in the day, it used to be was it 700 a wing or 1,700 a wing?
I think it was It was either 700 or 750 a wing. So yeah, that would.
It's two adventures. You would have been good. Darn Blizzard. Hey, too bad you can't do the pre-order bonus with that, because that should be right there. That's 50 packs.
I did it. Like, I bought the pre-order.
Right, but you can't do it with gold, right? Yeah, you have to do it for the card back.
Right. Yeah, so I have to have the card back because I have them all except for that one gold one that I'll never get in my life. But I'm okay with that, I think.
Sure.
But no, what I always do is I spend the 50 or whatever, and then whatever gold I have, that's the rest that I spend for that week. So I only spend the $50 or however much it is out of pocket every expansion, and then gold the rest of the way.
Right. Yeah, that's what I do too. Typically, I will sometimes people will like donate on stream specifically for pack openings, and then I'll do that too. But for the most part,
maybe I need to stream.
Dude, it's great to get to hang out with so many like Well Met, Payload, Return to Orbit people and just get to chat with them all week long. It's one of my favorite things about streaming and podcasting is hanging out with everyone. And man, we've got a lively bunch on our Discord. Look at that segue. Head on over to discord.me/wellmetpodcast. Hang out with us. Talk about all these cards. Get in each other's face about why they're wrong. All that good stuff. Yeah. Let's go into the news.
This week in Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
Before we get started, we do want to thank our well-met legends, TheRealBen and Correl. Thank you so much for your support of the show. If you like well-met, want to show your support, 5-star reviews are great. The free option, but if you want to toss a cup of coffee a month our way or whatever is in your heart, head on over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. Find out how you can get involved. My dog is going nuts, JR. So can I have you take these first, hopefully just one piece of news for me?
Yeah, so the first big thing that we had this week was we had the Dave Kozak video that came out with talking about, the solo missions that we'd be getting and what we would face along there. And one of the things that came out was what you would get if you got if you beat Arthas with all 9 classes. And we were kind of speculating a couple weeks ago on what that was. And you get an alternative hero, basically Arthas, before he became the Lich King, as the alternative Paladin hero. I thought it was a really cool video, though. Dave Kozak, like, I've interviewed him a few times when he was with the World of Warcraft team. Right when he became the quest designer, the lead quest designer. I did an interview with him with Miss Pandaria, and the dude just is a lore hound, just really loves story, and I'm really excited to see what he's doing with Hearthstone in these solo missions. Danny, what did you think of the video, or did you watch it?
Oh yeah, no, I saw it. I was actually really excited because it was shown in there that when you're battling the Lich King for the final battle, that essentially each class would have essentially their own encounter. Like the mage, right, you get your HP set to 1 off the start, and I don't remember any of the other ones, but that was the one that stood out to me. But every single one is its own challenge, which is like all the stuff that I loved about the adventures in the past, where you would go in and you would have the rules of Hearthstone broken by your opponent, like when Rafam would steal your deck and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. What did you think, Ray? Did you see it at all, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge lore person, just because I have never played World of Warcraft, so right, it's a little confusing to me unless it's kind of explained really well. So I understood like what the scenario is and like the Lich King stuff and all that, but it's not as exciting to me as it is to other people. But I looked at the solo adventure stuff, like it's one of those things where it's like a chore to me no matter how fun it is, because I just want to get the new cards and just start playtesting new decks. Just kind of get through it.
In this case, you wouldn't get like, this is different than the adventure modes where you wouldn't be unlocking cards. So do you see yourself actually playing the single to get the hero? Arthas? Yeah.
Probably not. As sad as that sounds. I don't have the other ones that you got for playing like Heroes of the Storm, or was it Heroes of the Storm? No, it was World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, yeah.
The other alternate Paladin skin, I don't have that one either. So,
see, for me, I really just enjoy the solo missions. Like I want to get in and play with the new cards too, but I also just enjoy like the puzzle solving, the problem solving puzzles that the solo missions kind of bring, and trying to figure out some kind of wacky a method of beating the boss in AI. Granted, I also do it because I have to put out videos on BlizzPro along with deck lists that I use as kind of guides to help people. So that content creation is part of it too. So it's kind of a chore. I didn't know. Danny, what do you think of solo missions?
I almost see it as like a different game almost. It's like Hearthstone story mode. I mean, that's essentially what it is. And I mean, while I'm definitely going to be racing to trying out some of the new ladder decks, over the next few weeks, I'm definitely going to go and play around with it. And I'm definitely going to try to get the new hero. And everyone keeps saying that it's pretty difficult. So I'm excited to have at least a difficulty curve, because before, like, the heroic stuff was mediocre. It wasn't too challenging. So I'm excited to see some real difficulty level.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the difficulty level on that stuff is too, because I feel like in the past it's like the heroics, it was hit or miss. Like you can find like the one thing that would just be really OP for that encounter. But then other ones that were difficult, quote unquote, were just RNG on if you got the lucky draw against the boss, or the boss didn't play something in a certain, that turn. I remember quite a few that were very frustrating in that way. That wasn't so much difficulty. It was whether the boss would do the thing or not at the time that would be truly devastating. So I'm hoping that they do difficulty. It's not that type of difficulty.
Yeah. And it was also difficult when they had the old UI where you couldn't reset the game. You had to go all the way out and then all the way back in. And I think they changed that. Was it during Karazhan when they swapped everything out, and like you could go and reset? You can go immediately into your collection and swap your deck, and they made it really convenient to navigate around through everything.
Yeah, but going back into lore a little bit, Ben Brode came out with came out with his rap today. I know, Ray, you've obviously have watched this. You said you're not a lore person. I'm gonna ask
but
you
that helped explain like the story of Arthas, I guess. Like, it was very different from the Ungoro one. Like, I didn't think of it as a song, even though it was a song, sort of. It was more like he was telling a story in song form. Like, it's not really catchy to me. None of it.
Right. It wasn't like the lighthearted, goofy that he did with Ungoro. It was definitely all story driven, telling about how Arthas became the Lich King.
Yeah, which I thought was actually really interesting because I had never known that story before. I don't know if that's a thing that is a story in World of Warcraft or not, or if this is like a
Warcraft 3. Yeah.
Okay, so this is like a thing that you probably already knew, but to me it was new and it helped kind of understand the setting for the set and the lore behind it. So it was really informative, but I didn't enjoy it as like a song. Or do you know what I mean?
Right. Like I think Brode, like I thought, like as a song, I think Ungoro was definitely better in that regards. But he had a really good tempo.
Yeah.
In this one,
he's a fantastic rapper.
Yeah.
He shouldn't quit his day job at Blizzard, but he might have a second career coming up as MC Brode.
I don't know about that one.
Right, but no, I think because I know in the last video, like a lot of people were saying, well, if you set it on YouTube to 1.5 speed, it's a lot better. This one you could actually just watch it as it is, but I actually found that setting it to 1.5 in this time around didn't make it really good at all. 1.25 was actually kind of the sweet spot, in my opinion. Had that little bit of a faster beat, and then made the song a little bit better. But I did really enjoy the fact that it basically just told a story this time around instead of just the lighthearted fun. So as far as John, he is not back yet. And I'm not sure what he wants us to do, because that was basically all of the news. We were talking about card reveals earlier. We do have 57 of 135 cards revealed so far. John, I don't know if he had any sounders planned here, but if not, we can probably just jump into card reviews if you guys want to.
Ooh, we're gonna have to make a new sounder for the new expansion.
Right.
We should totally use the Brode rap for this. I'm excited to see some of the remixes, by the way. We're right in the period where the remixes are going to start coming in tomorrow morning. I can't wait for like an All-Star or a Thomas the Train remix of the rap.
Oh yeah, he actually released
classic.
He actually released a version of it that doesn't have the mix sound in the background. It's just him rapping, so that people can make remixes like that.
It should be pretty neat.
Fire. Yeah. Or ice cold ice breath.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh, hi, John. You're
right
back.
on cue. Right on.
Dang. I didn't even have to know what he was saying, and I knew that was the appropriate time. I just want to add my one thought. I was listening to you guys on my phone when I was out there, and I just want to say one thing. I like the unpolished version of the raps more than this one. I'm going to be real. Like, it was really great. You could tell there was a ton of time and effort put into it. They edited the video with it, and that was awesome. But I like Ben Brode with like the most basic beat, the boom, 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 playing for 3.5 minutes straight and him just rapping over it. That's just me. But it was no doubt way better. So I don't know. Yeah. Sorry. That was the only thing I had to say on it because you guys hit all the high notes for me.
Part of that too was because his first rap was more or less about the set that was coming out. it was talking about Reddit and all the things going on there, and he's like intentionally memeing. And during this one, he was in storyteller mode.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's different, right? It's like they built what they did last time and then did something different. Like, I think that was totally cool, but it was just like a way more fleshed out beat, some retiming on the audio stuff, like things like that. Where I'm just like,
I think if they tried to make it really memey, it would have been corny. They would have tried to force.
You're
it.
right.
So
I don't think that there's a way
that
I don't think that there's a way they win in that sense, right? It's either too much the same or they didn't try to do something different.
I don't know. The only like thing that I think that makes it worse is that like the replayability of it is not very high to me. Like, it's so long that I don't think I could ever think of like listening to that multiple times, whereas I just loved listening to the Journey to Ungoro. Like, you know.
Did you get a recording of that, John?
Journey to Ungoro.
How did you convince me to do this?
That was definitely Ray who did that. Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
I will grab that though for the audio file. Yeah, man, we have so much to talk about. Is there anything you guys want to say about the wrap or anything else in the news this week? Feeling good?
Nope.
Good. Let's start doing some card reviews. We have 6 pages worth of card reviews.
Woohoo!
Not that bad. So let's go ahead and talk through some of these cards. These are, we're doing all the legendaries that were announced this past week, and then a few of the non-legendaries that were surprising in some way, somehow. So first, we're going to start off with some warrior cards here. First, we've got Animated Berserker. It's a 1 mana, 1/3 common warrior minion. Reads, after you play a minion, deal 1 damage to it. Danny, I know this was one of your choices as one of your favorites. I can't imagine this fitting in any patron warrior, patron taunt warrior decks going around in Wild, but I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, the first thought for everyone when they saw this, at least in the Wild community, was that it's going to synergize well with Patron, like you said. But I'm taking it to the next level. In my head, I think that because it's only 1 cost, if you get an Emperor tick on it, it's an immediate combo. So there's going to be some ridiculously busted combo that comes out with this card, because you have the Sudden Genesis card, which spawns anything that's damaged on your side of the board. So you take that, Faceless Manipulator, Leroy, you're going to be able to make a really cool combo from that. And I mean, I'm definitely going to go and mess around with that as soon as the expansion comes out.
Ray, any thoughts from you on the Wild or standard implications of this card?
It's really awkward because it's, I don't want to say it's statted aggressively, but it's a 1-drop, so I feel like it belongs more in like a curvy deck. I mean, it could be a good anti-aggro card for Warrior, like a control warrior type thing, and then you play your Acolyte on 3 if it lives, and that's pretty cool. But
Armorsmith.
But that doesn't really like make that card good though, because Armorsmith is only really like better like late game, and this feels like a card you're going to play early game. Although I guess that could be it deals 1 damage to Armorsmith. You gain 1 armor, right?
Yeah,
and then you
can, if you combo that with a Whirlwind effect or something, then you get like 3, and then I mean it could go into like a new tempo warrior style deck with Enrage and all that stuff. That could pop up.
Yeah, that's like one thing I was thinking was like cards like Acolyte and Rage, stuff like that. But it just feels awkward because there's no aggressive warrior deck that would want to play this card, because it's like Pyro Warrior would never really want this, right? Like you would just kill your own stuff. Like other
you'd only use it with like
frothing
for frothing ticks or something would be like the only synergy you got with it.
Right, and there's really no other aggressive warrior decks right now. Like maybe this card makes a new archetype or something, but I really I don't know. It's hard to evaluate this card, but right now I don't think it really has a place.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely a really interesting one. Immediately, I think the implications for Wild were a lot greater than Standard for basically the reasons Ray just said.
Yeah, I mean, but 1-mana 1/3s have always been very playable in Standard.
Right.
Almost all of them are, actually. Like Mana Worm, Voidwalker, Vilefin, Inquisitor.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know what else there are, but
yeah, I was thinking of 3 cards that this can be kind of paired with, and you guys have already said 2 of them. Acolyte of Pain and Frothian Berserker were the main 2, but also Grimash. This is a combo to get Grimash out if you didn't want to play the I can't remember the card name that normally goes with it. Like if you don't want to play like Whirlwind or Inner Rage or the 2/2 that deals 1 damage. Things like that used to pair up with it.
I can't think of it.
It's been a while since people have played Grimash. It's kind of gone out of the meta. This is a card that I could potentially see bringing Grimash back if you start seeing like Control Warrior for some reason making a comeback, which is a possibility. Grimash was kind of a finisher in those kind of decks.
Yeah, that's a good thought. It's a good thought. Just another combo piece that also happens to be a body, not a dead draw late. I get it. I'm with you. Let's go on to the next one then, though. We've got a lot of exciting cards to talk about. The next one is Mountain Fire Armor. It's a 3-mana, 4/3 rare warrior minion. Reads Death Rattle. If it's your opponent's turn, gain 6 armor. Now, this is kind of an interesting play on something we saw in Ungoro, where it's, if it's your opponent's turn, +2 attack on Tar Creeper, right? Tar Creeper? Is that the right? Yeah. So it's kind of a play on that, but now it's extending to Death Rattles. This is pretty interesting, right? What do you think about this card?
It's almost like it has a opposite taunt, like you don't want to attack it.
Opposite taunt. I will keyword that. I hope they add it to a Hearthstone keyword. Opposite taunt.
You know what I mean.
Show title right there.
Opposite taunt.
Opposite.
No, but like it's so interesting because if you put it in a control deck or something, it's going to contest their minions. But they also don't want to just trade into it because then you get armor, right?
Right.
So it's a really interesting card. I don't know. This is like one of those cards where it could just become a staple in a mid-rangey type or control archetype, or it could just never see play and be bad because it's, even though it's aggressively statted, it's obviously bad in aggro decks because why would an aggro deck want armor? Like, you don't need armor. It's basically a 3-mana 4/3 in an aggro deck, so I'd have to play with the card to see how effective it is in challenging your opponent's minions.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it definitely dies easily, like stat-wise, but in, the mentality of, do you want to kill it? It's not so simple. Just like kind of it's a more dramatic version of even Piloted Shredder, right? Where it's, a lot of times if your opponent put down a Piloted Shredder, you typically wanted him to trade it and not yourself, because then, he doesn't get essentially 2 hits with it. But I don't know. I think this is a really interesting card. Any thoughts, JR?
No, I think it's cool because I like cards like this that force your opponent to make a decision. Like, your opponent can decide, are you going to get 6 armor, or am I going to allow this 4/3 to continue hitting me in the face?
Yeah.
And your opponent has to basically end up making that decision on what they want to do. And I think most of the time you probably just want to go ahead and kill it, depending on what the matchup is. But I agree with Ray that when I first saw this, I was thinking aggro, but then I'm like, but what? Like Ray said, why would you want the extra armor? I definitely see it in more of a mid-range style warrior deck, which I don't think, like, I can't think of a mid-range style warrior deck that is popular right now. But maybe this.
No. Last one we
maybe
probably had was Dragon Warrior, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I
Think
think
the Tempo Warrior.
so.
With
So
like
like
Maloriok and stuff.
the Mountain Fire armor, it's a card that allows you to apply pressure in a deck that normally can't apply pressure as well. So if you draw it and you curve out, like say you go turn 2 Armorsmith, turn 3 Mountain Fire against something like a Jade Druid, now all of a sudden like you have actual pressure in a deck that normally doesn't really have pressure, where like your turn 3 play is like a shield block or an Acolyte of Pain or something. This is like 4 attack is not bad.
Right, that's true. Frothing Berserker is the only 3-drop that you really have that can apply pressure, and typically you don't just get to you don't get the opportunity to play it. Yeah, and you don't get an opportunity to play it on its own a whole lot.
Yeah, so it's also like when you're playing Control Warrior against a deck like Pirate Warrior or something, and you play this card as a 4/3, it's over something like a shield block, which makes it better because they have to deal with it, because it's just going to contest something like a Frothing Berserker. And if they have to deal with it, not only is it going to gain you 6 armor, but it's also going to use up some type of resource
that
they have, or it's just going to kill a creature and trade and then gain you armor.
Right. It's
either way, it's a plus.
It hits a lot of the right things to be like it could be a pretty dangerous card. In the way that it's it could be really powerful. So
I think it's either going to be a staple or see no play at all.
Yeah.
So
totally agree.
I'm leaning towards like a staple in a Control Warrior deck.
Nice.
But
let's jump over to Dead Man's Hand here, and then I want to get your thoughts on this one, Danny. So Dead Man's Hand is a 2-mana epic warrior spell. Read: shuffle a copy of your hand into your deck. What?
That's a crazy effect, man. Like, control. I mean, now you can just immediately. My thoughts go to Control Warrior can now, especially if you run like 2 of them, you can last indefinitely. And I mean, while that has some issues with against like Jade Druid, typically you can now start playing the fatigue game as a Control Warrior, which is pretty neat. But some of the things that you also got to think about is what do you typically have in your hand? And that's as a Control Warrior. And that would be cards that are either really highly costed or things that don't really work in the matchup too well. Things that you might want to change into things that like if you had Elise Starseeker, you'd want to change into other legendaries. So I'm excited for this, at least in Wild, because if you go and just make a brand new deck, just keep piling them on, and then change everything into legendaries, it could be really, really cool.
JR?
I'm hoping that this card doesn't take off and is not very good, because the last thing I want to see in tournaments is people running 2 of these in a Control Warrior mirror match and just the game lasting for, what is it? The game can go up to 60 turns before you just draw. Before both players draw. Yeah. Like there's actually a turn limit. Like I could see games where that actually starts happening with this card. And it's just going to be a snooze fest. But no, it's a cool card. I don't know, like I don't feel like it's that good, but I could be wrong. In Control Warrior, if Control Warrior starts playing it, that's the main thing that I fear, is just the mirror match that could happen.
Well,
Ray.
If it makes you feel any better, JR, this card is called Dead Man's Hand because if you play it, you're gonna be the dead man. I think it says 2 mana, do nothing. I think that's what I read. Yeah.
No, it's a fair point, though. It doesn't do anything for a really, really long time. And if you get this against an aggro deck, like in your opening hand, you're not using it ever.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good card.
Okay.
But I mean, obviously, it has its uses in strictly very control-based mirrors. It has to be extremely like Control Warrior versus Control Warrior. It can't even be Taunt Warrior because you don't want to do that. Like, you just want to find your taunts. So it's like literally only good against either like Control Warrior versus Priest or just some matchup that goes to fatigue 100% of the time.
Right.
That's the only time it'll ever be good.
I guess with that point, sounds like it might be something that you might see in tournaments more than on ladder, just for like just for the mirror. If Control Warrior is like the shiz, I guess it makes sense, but
no.
It probably won't happen.
In Wild 2, you have the ability. We're playing some Iron Juggernaut Warrior, and while that's a bit of a meme, you can get through your deck and your opponent's deck really quickly with cold like oracles, brand combos, and if you just put this card in that deck, there are a lot more controlling style decks in Wild. You have like Reno Lock, Reno Mage, and you can really start to fatigue them out. So it might have a little bit more of a practical usage in Wild.
Gadgets and Auctioneer in Warrior confirmed.
No.
Look at that. It's like Miracle Warrior.
No. I think it's actually worse than Do Nothing. I think it reads make your deck worse.
Oh my god.
I actually think it's worse than doing nothing.
All right, Ray. He's so. Do you like the car, Ray? Do you like the card? How do you feel?
What card?
the 2 mana donation.
I don't know. It reads Do Nothing. I don't know how to evaluate that.
Okay. Okay, fine. All right, let's move on then. Let's talk about some Druid stuff. So Druid, we've got Fate Spinner. It's a 5 mana, 5/3 epic Druid minion. Reads, choose a death rattle in parentheses secretly, and then deal that. And the 2 options are deal 3 damage to all minions, or give them +2/+2. Ray, break me down on this one. Yeah, they are getting creative.
Creative. I'm proud of them. This is really cool. I actually like this card a lot. Or I like the idea of the card. I don't actually think it is particularly good or bad. It's hard to evaluate because it depends on the meta. Like if there's like a lot of aggro, this is obviously a good tech card because it's kind of like a Hellfire on a stick.
You do have to kill the body though.
Yeah, so it's like a little worse, but it could also be okay in token decks. I don't know. It's just a really interesting card. The idea of it, I love. I just don't know if it's particularly good in its current form, like on that card. But the secretly choose a death rattle thing, I really like that.
It adds an element of counterplay that a lot of the other sets don't have. And you can see Blizzard doing that a lot with this set. There are a lot of things that have little things of counterplay, like that warrior card that we were talking about earlier. This one, decisions where you have to actually like make different decisions based upon how your opponent played things.
What I really like about this card is the fact that you're picking it secretly. So, it's almost like playing a secret without, your opponent, knowing what you're going to do. If you're going to, pick the 3 damage or +2. The only problem with this card, though, is the fact that when you play it and you choose, based on the board state, it's going to be very obvious what you chose. It's one of those things where, yeah, it's secretly, but
you don't know that. It's a
we
secret.
know
You
what
can
it
bluff.
really is.
You can totally bluff.
Bluff it.
So let's say you have a full board of minions.
You don't know me.
And then,
You don't know me.
Let's say you have a full board of minions, right? And then you choose the deal 3 damage. Your opponent's going to think that you played the buff. So he kills all your other minions. And then he goes and he develops some of his own. And he kills yours. And he wipes out your board. I mean, that's the most optimistic situation. But that's a situation where you can bluff. And it pays off. So it's a little bit skill testing in that type of sense.
I think it's very... I think the percentage of a scenario happening like that, though, is very low. If you were to play this in a situation like that, like I feel like the percentage of the situation is like depending on like where the game is at. Like I'm having a hard time phrasing what I want to say here.
I think I
It's
get
never
what you're
gonna
saying.
happen.
It's like,
always gonna
yeah.
be obvious.
how often
Right.
are you in a situation to where it's even enough that you can, well, it's in your favor to not choose one over the other, right? Like it's
Right.
just gonna be
Probably
rare. Now,
always
to
gonna be
Danny's
obvious.
point, reverse psychology is a hell of a drug, and you can never count that one out. I get what you're saying there.
But I feel like in those situations, you're still going to go, you're still going to calculate what is the best odds of me winning whatever they ended up choosing. And then you just go with the best odds. And if you choose poorly, you still probably made still the best decision on, what they picked and what they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, the way that like buffs work is your board has to be big, and if your opponent, like in your situation, you're saying that they're going to clear off all your minions first, well then your minions are all clear. You already lose.
Yep.
But then
It's
there's
going to be
R2.
obvious most of the time. No, I'm being real here, John. This is going to be obvious most of the time, but the design of it is cool. And once it's on other cards in the future, and it's a bit more tricky, I think is like a good word, or skill based, it's going to be really interesting.
Tricky.
Blizzard also does this. They go and they test little types of little archetypes before they release them in full sets. Like you had the hand buff mechanic one set before. You had Wicker Flame Burn Bristle before, have with Life Steal before. This might be in some future expansion, like the key focus of it.
Could definitely be. It definitely, this secret counterplay thing is something that's rising up more and more. So we definitely have to wait and see for that one. Let's talk about the legendary that we have though. Hadronox. It's a 9 mana 3/7 legendary druid beast. Reads, Death Rattle, summon your taunt minions that died this game.
Why do they keep making it cards beasts?
Because they want you to believe in Beast Druid, dude. They want you to believe, but it will never happen.
Really? No, they want the curator to be the best card in the game.
No. Maybe. I don't know. Ray, tell us more about this card, dude.
I kind of took over there.
Go ahead.
I think it's good, and deck that is good for it. If it brings back Ancient of War or Druid of the Claw, I don't know how that works.
Okay.
It doesn't bring back Ancient of War. It does
Card
bring
sucks,
back Druid
never
of the
mind.
Claw.
Yeah, I won't bring back Ancient
You'd
of
have
War.
to swap
Druid
it out
of
for like
Claw
a bog creeper or something if they're on 7, which you don't really want to do.
Nope, card sucks. Can't bring back Ancient of War. Never mind. Next card. I'm over it.
Okay. Are you done? Okay.
I'm done.
Very much. So
It
yeah, Danny.
So it has some, at least in my mind, the only time I would see this is in meme usage. I mean, I'm definitely gonna try to fit it in Mill Druid, make it like the current Mill Rogue where you have Death Lords and Belchers, and then you play this. You play Curator, you play Hadronox on 9, and then you Deathwing on 10, so you get a bunch of taunts. Or you could go in Hadronox and Naturalizer Hadronox on 10. But besides that, I really don't see it. It's too slow. I don't think that it's fast enough to go, because it's a death rattle, right? If this was a battle cry, it would be absolutely broken. But it's pretty crazy. It's a bit too slow.
What do you think, JR?
Yeah, I was never really a fan of this card, even if it brought back Ancient of War. I'm with Danny. Like, it's just one of those cards where it's a death rattle for 9 mana, and it's just one of those things where if I'm playing a 3/7 at 9 mana, I want it to have a better effect than this. I want it to have a battle cry. I want it to do something that does something in the game right then, and I don't have to wait. And I feel like This is at 9 mana. This just doesn't fit the bill.
To be fair, I feel that this card is designed to be like an 8 mana card. And I think that Blizzard probably went and made it as an 8 mana card, and they play tested it, and it might have been a bit too strong. So they pushed it up to 9.
I don't think they could.
That might be
because in Wild, if it was 8, if you got Thorson tick on it, you could combo it with Spirit Singer Umbra.
Oh, and that would be broken, yeah.
Yeah, so then you'd have 7 and 3, so that'd be 10. So I think you're right why it has to be 8. I still, though, like Spirit Singer Umbra, is there any way to get that minion out and guarantee it stays alive? But like that seems like the way to get this to work is to make the death rattle function like a battle cry. Otherwise, you're right, it's at least right now it's too slow, and Jades are just probably better, I guess.
Card.
Yeah.
I was already over this card like 5 minutes ago or something.
Thanks for your input, Ray. So
No
glad.
problem, John.
So glad you
Sucks.
feel that way. All right. Prince Tal'Daram. This is a neutral 3 mana 3/3 reads. Well, and Prince Valinar. So we have a 2 mana. I forget the name of the 2 mana guy. But we have a
Prince Keleseth.
Dang. Do you have a poster of him on your wall, JR? Dang.
Yeah, actually, I do.
Fair enough. But Prince Tal'Daram is very similar, except that your deck has no 3-cost cards, transform into a 3/3 copy of a minion. It's the same thing for Keleseth. For 2 mana. And then we also have Prince Valinar, which says Battle Cry. If your deck has no 4-cost cards, gain Lifesteal and Taunt. So they're kind of doing this same type of theme across these 2 cards. But is it any good, guys?
I don't understand the card.
Thanks for your input, Ray. What do you know?
Did you read it?
I read it, but I don't understand it.
You didn't read it out loud, though, so I don't think you really read it.
If your deck has no 3-cost cards, transform into a 3/3 copy of a minion, like on the board. So like you have right. That's what I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was confused.
So it's like a faceless manipulator almost.
So
But
it's
2 less.
okay.
But it's a conditional copy, which is a bit rough.
I think it's bad. I think it's real awkward, real conditional. Maybe it's bad. No, it's bad. Never mind. No, it's just bad. Yeah.
Could run it in Hunter. You don't run any 3-cost minions anyway.
What would you want to copy? Oh, no, that's all you run in Hunter. All you run is 3-cost minions.
They're spells.
Rat Pack.
It's 3-cost cards, by the way. It's 3-cost cards. Not
Oh
3-cost
yeah, it
minions.
is 3-cost cards. You're right. Sorry, my B chat. Sorry, for some reason I thought it was 3-cost minions. There we go.
This man is not playing Kill Command Animal Companion.
It's like easy. It doesn't run any spells. Doesn't run any minions. It runs all 3-cost spells.
It would be a really good card if it was minions as opposed to spells. I definitely feel so.
Yeah.
It's cards.
It would be better at least.
It's just so.
All right, Ray.
No.
I'm going to mute you.
No.
I'm going to mute you.
I'm gonna mute you, John.
I'm surprised you aren't already. Anyways, any good things about these cards?
I mean, the only good thing out of these 3 cards that I could see, first of all, we talked about Prince Keleseth like a couple weeks ago. And that's probably the best of the 3, in my opinion, of all of them. And that one I could actually potentially see getting played, maybe. The other 2 I just don't see getting played, except for if you want to play all 3 of them for the meme potential, and
just not
go
have
for that
2, 3, and 4 slots,
and you just don't want to win.
Innervate past it,
and you just
see. There's definitely a use for Valinar, and I mean Valinar's a 4-cost minion, and the thing about 4-cost cards, there are some decks that don't run 4-cost cards right now. And the main one that comes to my mind in standard, at least, is Miracle Rogue. You don't. I mean, the only 4-cost card you're going to run in standard there is going to be the Sherazin, the plant. So, I mean, in Wild at least, we're running in our Miracle Rogues. We're starting to tech in anti-Keel bot. You want a little bit of heal in the deck. Well, this card's going to fit in without. You're not going to have to modify your deck. I mean, besides cutting Sherazin, Valinor might actually fit into the deck.
Sherazin's a really good card, though.
It is a very good card, but you could definitely go in a really aggressive meta or something. You could put this card in, and it would. I mean, you don't have to modify your deck, and the decks that you don't have to modify in order to fit these in are going to be the best one.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, you get a 4-mana 4/4 with Taunt and Lifesteal, which still, even if you get that, it doesn't feel super fantastic.
Hard's bad. Hard is bad. Pack filler.
Great.
I'm gonna open this up and be disappointed on.
Oh no, you're definitely gonna want other legendaries, but I think that Valinor might have some corner cases where you can play it in Miracle Rogue. Miracle Rogue is gonna be the spot that you play it. Now in Wilds, you have Tomb Pillager, which is so much better, so you're not gonna see it there. But I think that Standard has enough of a gap for that. You might start seeing that sneak in.
Right. Here's the thing too. I'm going to break right here because I'm starting to see a theme and I'm cutting it off right now. Because we say that a card could be played in a situation, it's not us saying the card is good or worth teching instead of Sherazin or whatever. We like to talk about hypotheticals. The idea behind a card review is, why will it work? What would it take for it to work? And what would it take for it not to work? Or if it's just bad. So just like keep that in mind. Like we know when a card's hot garbage, but it's always, at the same time, not everybody just plays the same 3 decks in standard and tryhards listens to podcasts all week. Some people want to hear about what meme deck could I put this in? What would this be fun in? What if I don't have Sherazin?
Prince Valinor is actually viable in a Control Warrior deck. I mean, what 4 drops do they have? I don't know.
I can't think of any in standard.
But I mean, like Taunt Warrior has Bloodhoof Brave, but you don't even need that.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are ways that this card could work and be good in niche scenarios and
but it's,
very specific decks.
It's definitely not a widely applicable card, and it's not something you can really even build around. It basically has to slide into an existing archetype or a new archetype that doesn't run 4 drops, right?
Right.
Which is kind of tough.
You're not going to build the deck around this, like you said. Yeah. It's just going to fit into a deck that already doesn't run 4 drops, and it just kind of is going to slide right in there. It's
kind of, if your deck doesn't run any 4 drops, this is probably the best 4 drop that you can run. Wouldn't you think? There are some well, then why would you run? I mean, I guess you like Twilight Drake.
You're not going to put this in a really aggressive deck. You're not going to play this. It has to be a control.
Agree, but I don't know if you can run an aggressive deck without force. So,
I mean, you could go really hyper aggro.
I like the idea that Ray had about Taunt Warrior, though, that this could, and not so much like right now, but when the sets rotate at the beginning of the year and Bloodhoof rotates out, this card could potentially be a replacement down the road.
Yeah, it's hard to evaluate that kind of scenario when we don't really know what else is going to be released. But this card has value in specific scenarios, and it is not unplayable, unlike Hadron Nux.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about some mage cards here, because we did get both the new Death Knight hero for mage and a pretty interesting legendary as well. First one is Syndragosa, an 8-mana 8/8 dragon legendary mage minion dragon. Reads Battlecry, summon 2/0/1 frozen champions. The 1-mana frozen champions essentially read Death Rattle, add a random legendary minion to your hand, and they are 0/1 minions, 0 attack, 1 health minions.
Without taunt or anything.
Without taunt or anything. like that. Ray, what do you, or not Ray? I've called on you enough, Ray. JR, what do you think?
When I first saw this card, I was kind of excited about it because Dragon, Dragon's always fun. I'm like, well, can you make a decent Dragon deck, Mage deck out of this? And I thought that would be pretty cool. But then I started realizing it's really tough. Not tough, but just annoying to have to kill your own guys to get something out of them. I mean, you have your ping ability, you have your hero power to kill them off and ping them off. But at the same time, like, I feel like this would be a replacement for Medivh, but I would still rather play Medivh. And I feel like Medivh has more value than this. You could potentially play them both, but I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I feel like it's one or the other, and I feel like Medivh right now is what I would rather play instead of this. I could see, like, if you wanted to make some kind of Dragon Mage deck, something like that could potentially work. But I don't think you're gonna get very high up in the rankings by trying that.
Danny, what do you think, Ben?
So it's a slow card. We can all admit that. One of the things that I don't hear mentioned often about the Frozen Champions is everyone's like, you immediately have to go and ping them off. You can let them sit around for a little bit. And if you're playing like a control mirror, someone's going to go, they probably will have to clear your board at some point. So you can go and wait until a board clear goes, and you be a little bit more patient with it. But the way that I see this card being played is off of the Netherspite Historian. If you're playing like a Dragon Mage, you might not put this necessarily in your deck, but because of the Discover bias towards class-specific cards, and this being the only class-specific Mage Dragon, if you play Netherspite Historian, you're most likely going to get it off of that. So if you're playing Dragon Mage, and you go in and you play another Spite Historian in the control match, this is an auto pick. But, I mean, against aggro, you might not pick it.
Ray, what do you think, dude?
I agree with Danny. Probably only going to get played if it gets picked off of another Historian. I do not think it will be played as a standalone card, although the value is still theoretically potentially high because you could get good legendaries off of the Frozen Champions. It's so slow. Like, an 8/8 for 8 is awful on its own. And the 0/1s don't have taunt, so they don't do anything to impact the board. They're just there. And you have to somehow have them die, which will happen in a control mirror at some point, like Danny said. So it's okay in a grindy matchup like that, but I don't think it's good enough to just play in your deck. But I think it will get picked off of Netherspite in certain matchups and be good in those scenarios.
How good is a random legendary in Standard? I haven't played enough in the wild to know that.
It's about a 5/5 vanilla. That's like about the average like value of a legendary minion. I think
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just remember from like Sneed's old Shredder, we did that math, and it was like around a 5/5 is like the average stats of a minion.
Sure.
Because I think it's better in Standard than it is in Wild for random legendary.
Just because there's
maybe
less powerful legendaries?
I think there are more powerful legendaries in the Standard set rather than... I mean, so there's obviously some really good ones in Wild, like Sneed's Shredder and like Kel'Thuzad, Ragnaros, Sylvanas. You know what? It might actually be better
Dr. Boom.
Yeah. And you get to play... The big thing about them is that you get to play them, and a lot of legendaries, if they're really good, have good battlecry effects. Whereas if you're playing like Confessor Paletris or something and you summon a Dr. Boom, it's not as good as it could be.
Oh, I definitely think this card would be way better if they just came into play and not into your hand.
Oh, no, it would, but you're getting more value off. Sure. Just not an immediate board impact.
Yeah, I mean, This card is only going to see playoff nethers played Eldorian, and otherwise it's just bad. There we go.
Okay. Just bad. Should add a mute button every time Ray says just bad. Just a mute. Let's go to Frost Lich Jaina. So this card was kind of leaked, but was met with a lot of controversy because it was originally in French, and then people said they had the English version. It was obviously like a recreation of the English version, and now we actually have it. It's Frost Lich Jaina. It's a 9-mana hero card gives you 5 armor, says battle cry, summon a 3/6 water elemental. Your elementals have life steal for the rest of the game, and your hero power is replaced with a 2-mana hero power. Reads deal 1 damage if this kills a minion, summon a water elemental. So pretty interesting here. JR, let's have you go first, dude. Let's get your thoughts first.
So my first original thought of this was it wasn't going to be that great and wouldn't see play a lot, because I'm like, well, you're not going to see a lot of elementals being played by a mage. And then I was trying to think, what deck would I, if I wanted to play this, what deck would I play it in? And I got to thinking that it wouldn't be that bad in like a burn/control mage, where if you wanted to replace Alexstrasza, like I could see this being a potential for that, where if you're in the late game and all you're doing is top decking and you get this, I mean, you get a 3/6 battle cry right off the bat. And one of the problems that like control burn mage can have late game is just trying to stay alive, because you might be just top decking. Maybe you're playing a mirror match and you just, you don't want to die. And this could potentially, with lifesteal, give you that additional health, because you get a minion on the board, and then maybe using these spells that you draw, and then being able to use that in conjunction with killing them off and getting more lifesteal guys. It's maybe not a bad trade-off with Alexstrasza. I think I would still rather play Alexstrasza, just for the fact that you can, burn someone down 15 life right off the bat, or bring yourself back up if needed. But I think this has potential to be, do I want the 5 armor plus a dude on the board, or do I want to play Alexstrasza? I think it's a decent decision there on what you want to play.
Okay. What do you think, Danny?
I'm not too sure about the card. I do know that there's one crazy interaction that I saw, and the 2 words, Baron Geddon. Baron Geddon is now an elemental. If it goes and it deals the damage to the board, you get all the health that it damaged. So I thought that was a really cool interaction. But otherwise, I mean, you definitely have to go and build your deck around this. You're going to have to make an elemental style mage deck. I don't really think that you could sneak this into any really... I mean, you might be able to fit it in the burn mage, but I think that it's going to be best used in some brand new style of deck.
I don't think you have to play the elementals to make this work, though. I think it can be a standalone card and be okay.
I mean, wouldn't it be nice, though, if you drop this down and you already have some elementals on board?
Yeah, it would.
And then you immediately heal up?
Right. No, it absolutely would be, but I also don't think it has to be.
All right, boys. Okay. Coming in with the hammer of truth.
It's just bad. Thanks, Ray. Next card.
Card is just bad, boys.
Oh my god.
9 mana, you get a 3/6 with lifesteal and 5 armor. That's
with
it.
Potential for more lifesteal down the road.
That's it. That's what it does. Sometimes you make another 3/6, but I don't know. That's looking like a just bad to me.
Yeah. You can't imagine any scenarios.
90% of the set bad? Would you consider 90% of every set bad?
About 80%, probably. Maybe. I don't know. It's close.
I don't know.
Like, I'd have to go through I'd have to do the math on that.
The big thing too is you'll have cards that'll be just bad for an expansion and a half, and then they'll come in and they'll tech in a spot, and then they'll go in and some meta change will happen and they'll become incredibly powerful. So a lot of it is situational. But I mean, the issue about this is you're not able to use your hero power on the same turn as playing Frost Lich.
If it was 8 mana, I would say maybe it's just good. But 9 mana. That's my Alexstrasza turn.
Yeah, I mean there are cards that are elementals that kind of can be seen that we haven't seen a whole lot, but like Steam Surger that we got introduced in Ungoro. Battle Cry, if you played an elemental last term, add a flame geyser to your hand. Obviously, water elemental itself has been a staple for a long time. You'd still run 2 water elementals in
You'd sneak in Tar Creeper in there in that deck.
Yep. You could maybe return the Pyros, the return of Pyros into decks. Okay, maybe that's a little bit
what? No,
optimistic.
Pyros is good.
But
what?
You know,
Pyros is good in control.
You've got
Pyros is fantastic in wild.
Ray, Ray, it's okay. It's okay, Ray. It's
sorry.
It's okay. You got Firefly, you've got Tar Creeper, the Tolvir Stone,
like
Tolvir Stone Shaper, Baron Geddon, and then imagine like what if you ran like Hemet in there and just got those big boys in there, and all you have left are big elementals the rest of the way. Like I don't know. Like I think that there's
some type of finisher in that.
Well, you would, but I mean, even then, like Blaze Callers, you deal 5 damage with a Battle Cry if you played an elemental last turn. You have to go, in my opinion, you have to go all in on elementals. I don't think it works very well just trying to ping things down and kill your opponents with your hero powers and with the 3 elementals you run in your deck. But if you actually go through and look at some of the elementals that exist in the game, if you can make an elemental deck that curves out well enough, like Lifesteal is going to be really good for that. Like even then, even after they clear your board, you're back to 30. You know, I think it's interesting, and I don't like how quickly people have like played it off because it won't be the top tier legend deck that Pirate Warrior is. You know, okay, yeah, we get it. There's almost always an aggro deck on the top of the meta list, but doesn't mean that there isn't room for some really fun decks with some of these synergies that can actually win games.
To be fair, Blizzard is also pushing this expansion more towards the mid-range rather than aggressive cards. There are a lot of things that have been released that are really hinting towards that. And while they've always done that, I think that some of the decisions that they're making are going to slow the game down a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's cool. I don't like the art. Don't like the art.
The art was the whole reason I thought it was fake to begin with.
Yep.
When it was leaked.
It looks kind of clunky. I don't know. I'm not an artist. I shouldn't judge.
Right. It's
I
just
can barely
like
draw stick figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I don't know. I don't really care. I'm never gonna have to see this card when I play.
Okay. Fair enough. I hope somebody finds like an insane elemental mage deck and I can just lord it over you on this podcast every week for the rest of your life.
I
week.
hope that as well.
All right. Let's talk about my favorite legend card in the entire expansion so far. Bolvar Fireblood. It is a 5-mana 1/7 legendary paladin minion. Reads Divine Shield. After a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, gain +2 attack. Ray, what do you think about this card?
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's basically a 3/7.
It's pretty
What?
cool. It's
basically a 3/7, right? Like, on sort of, not really, actually.
If it loses its Divine Shield, does it get buffed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wait, is he a friendly minion? I'm assuming he's a friendly minion.
I would assume
right?
he's a friendly minion, yeah.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's how it works. But yeah, so I don't know. It's really cool. I'd have to, like, look at all the Divine Shield cards that are in the set and that already exist and kind of get a feel for just how powerful it'll be. Because if it's just gonna be a 3/7, I mean, that's pretty bad, right? But if there are cards like maybe a good 6-drop or like a good 3 or 4-drop, because I mean, you only have really Wicker Flame Burn Bissell right now, and like Argent Squires are probably gonna lose their Divine Shield by that time, stuff like that. But I don't really want to be playing us. I mean, you could do something real wacky like that. Sure, you can. No, that's just gonna be bad.
See, in Wild though, it's not wacky though. Like the token Druid,
Oh,
the token
yeah,
Paladin.
you have muster for battle.
Yeah, I actually just released. We had the Tempo Storm meta report, and I released my mid-range Paladin deck as the list there, based off some other people. But it's mostly centered around the Divine Spirit, the Divine Shield, and this card is going to be bonkers in Wild. This is going to be like probably one of the most powerful legendaries, I think, in Wild.
I just really like the
really
art,
good.
honestly. Like it's obviously has some really potentially powerful synergies, but that card art is so good. It's so cool.
Just
it's worth running as
badass.
is. Yeah. It's really sick. JR, any thoughts on Bolvar?
I think it can be a pretty good card. That's,
Okay.
that's all
Yeah.
I'm going to be
It's-
the opposite of Ray.
It could be well, he said it was a pretty good card.
No, I meant just the in general.
It's trash. Yeah.
Yeah, where he's always calling things bad. I'm just going to say, yeah, this is pretty good.
I like it too in like hand buff. Like I think, land a couple buffs on it. Boom, boom. Done. Let's talk about Shaman.
Is it?
What?
Sorry. Isn't Wild Hobgoblin buff up 1 attack creatures?
Yeah, it does.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Interessante. Hobgoblin Bolvar deck. Oh my god. I don't.
There are some Hobgoblin Paladin decks already. They're not spectacular, but this could make it, push it over the edge.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Let's talk about Shaman a little bit. The Shaman Hero card debuted late today, so I didn't get to throw it in on this thing when I was putting it together in Photoshop. But we're going to actually talk about the Marabi and then talk about the Shaman Hero card. So Marabi is a 6-mana 4/4 Shaman legendary. Reads whenever another minion is frozen, add a copy of it to your hand.
This card is bad.
I quit.
6 mana 4.
We should just go and make a recording of Ray doing that, and then we don't need him on the show. We can just press the button after every card.
Yeah.
6 mana 4/4. Do you want a 6 mana 4/4? I don't want a 6 mana 4/4.
I think auctioneers are pretty good.
But the auctioneer does something. This is just a 6 mana 4/4 that does nothing.
Doesn't do any. Why does it have a paragraph of
It
card
does have
text?
card
I
text.
don't know. The other
It
card
does
that
have
we
some
reviewed
card
earlier.
text.
Nope. The Dead Man's thing that had nothing. That did not have any card text on it, and neither does this.
Yeah. Okay.
I think this is Blizzard pushing Freeze Shaman a little bit. And I think we're going to see maybe 1 or 2 more cards out of the set and maybe in future sets. It could potentially make this card interesting because not only, like, it's one of those things where you're copying another minion. Like, it doesn't have to be a minion you own. It could also be, you can also Frost Shock and kill a minion.
Antonitis.
Yeah.
Like that. Something crazy.
I mean, at this point, we're just playing arena decks, right? Like that's where we're talking about.
Yeah, arena players listen to this podcast. Yeah, they do.
As well.
But I mean, you could do something like that and then get, minions in your hand or whatever. I'm not saying it's a good card right now, and I'm not saying it's a good card in the future. But there's something you could potentially do with it. You can build a deck around this card and around Freeze Shaman.
I was really hoping you would say you can dust it after you said there's something you can do with it.
I almost did, but at the same time, I want to encourage people to play with cards. Like if someone were to open this in a pack, yeah, they might go, "Oh shoot, that's 400 dust." Maybe they don't want to dust the card. Maybe they want to play the card and want to see what they want to see what this card can do. And maybe they listen to the show and want some ideas. And my suggestion is, Freeze Shaman has some stuff that you would be able to do, and you can double freeze minions and get duplicate copies of the card as well. If you freeze it once, and it's already frozen, you can also freeze it again and get another copy. It does work that way. Once again, it's not a great card, but people can play with it and see what they can do.
I'm also interested in seeing the other Shaman cards that get released, because maybe there's some really, really cool freeze epic or something that we haven't seen. So I'm a little hopeful that it's just not this with all the other freeze effects, because that would make me feel like it's half done. Like the freeze effect in Shaman is half done. It's
Cone of Coldum. It's a Cone of Cold totem. That's what it is. Freezes the minions in front and adjacent to the totem. Boom. Positioning totem. Done.
That'd be pretty.
It'll be the legendary one that they said that they're going to come out with eventually. Calling it now. Cone of Coldum. That's what it's called. Let's talk about the Shaman hero, Death Knight hero called Thrall Deathseer. It is a 5-mana hero card. Reads Battle Cry. Transform your minions into random ones that cost 2 more. And then the hero power is a 2-mana transmute spirit. Reads transform a friendly minion into a random one that costs 1 more. Ray, go ahead and say it.
This card is pretty cool.
Oh.
It's definitely not just bad, John. If that's what you were thinking, you were wrong. This card is cool.
Okay. I don't understand your arbitrary rules, so
what?
Let's tell me.
It's very simplistic.
Tell me how it's cool. Tell me. Let's talk about why.
So
it's
you got a board, right? Like you're playing Token Shaman. You got a board.
Yep.
You can only play 2 Bloodlusts in your deck, though. This is like another Bloodlust, but it's not a Bloodlust. It's just dope. And it's a
double evolve.
Yeah, like you got a big board. Like you got Fireflies. You got like a Turtle Man that has taunt, and you got some totems. But now then you play this card. Now all of a sudden you just got a bunch of random stuff, and now your hero power. I mean, it's still kind of I think it's worse than making a totem most of the time, because you kind of also want to have a totems on the board that you can evolve. So I don't really know what you're evolving anymore. Maybe some Fireflies or something. But to
be fair though, at that point you have a big board. So you're going for board control. So you have a 3-drop, you'll trade it into something. It has 1 health left, and then you can just go and evolve it up to a full 4-drop. So you can essentially consider it healing in a sense. You go and you get a big board, and then you play Thrall, Deathseer, and your board becomes even bigger. And then you just gotta hope they don't have AoE, or you can just Bloodlust on the next turn, or hold the board for a little bit longer and then finish them off.
I mean, it's a cool card. It's got potential, man. It's not just bad like the other one.
Okay. You heard it here first. Ray likes a card.
Whoa.
JR.
I said it was cool.
JR.
I said it was cool. Whoa.
Any other thoughts on this Shaman, on Thrall, Death Seer?
I mean, I said this on Twitter earlier today. I think this makes Evolve Shaman stronger. I think you can just fit it right into that deck and go.
Cool.
You know, potentially you could, because I know that there's times I've played that deck where I'm just like, man, I'm not drawing my Evolve. I've got Doppelganger, and things just aren't happening right now. I've got to waste my Doppelganger and just try to get board control. This gives you another Evolve, except it's a double Evolve in this case. So it gives you more of that opportunity to pop off what you want to do, with giving you that 5 extra health as well, which is never a bad thing. But I think the biggest thing for this is it's statted right. For 5 mana, I feel like this is something you can fit in, if you weren't concerned about just getting more totems out all the time.
Right. Cool. All right, we're going to do a rapid fire here for these next couple of cards because we've got a few left to do, but we're going way over. So let's do Professor Putricide.
All right.
Ray.
All right.
Ray.
I'm ready.
It's a 4 mana 5/4 Hunter legendary. Reads, after you play a secret, put a random Hunter secret into the battlefield.
All right. Do you want to know the secret to this card and why it's bad?
Sure.
It's a Hunter card, John. And that's why it's bad.
See, that's one of the weaknesses of card evaluations, though. People typically undervalue cards in classes that are doing poorly. Like the Warlock cards and the Hunter cards, a lot of people have recently been going under the bar on a lot of the cards because they don't see where things are going to go. Obviously, I mean, I'm not going to say that this card's spectacular. It's not. But you definitely got to give some of these cards a chance in Hunter and Warlock. The two classes that don't have that much action, Blizzard's not so bad that they won't give those classes something to at least be competitive with.
That's very logical and rational. I wish I could think like that.
I think
I wish you could do too, Ray.
This card kind of reminds me a lot of the 3/5 Druid Legendary. Why can't I think of its name? It lets you have
Vandrel?
Yeah. Hold on though, Ray. Hold on. In the sense that, like, sometimes it would be something that you just put out for like tempo, and sometimes you're waiting to pop off on something kind of important. I could see. I want to be optimistic about this card, but it's just tough.
But Fandrel's good, and this card's bad.
Ray, that's not constructive.
The dream with this card is that you have Cloak Huntress, you play that on 3, your opponent is sleeping and doesn't kill it. And so from there, you play Professor Putricide, and the secrets that you were holding that you could have played for free, you then play again. And you play them, and hopefully you don't get a duplicate of the other secrets that you're holding.
Can you even do that? That would be awful. Because it puts them onto the battlefield.
The issue is if you have 2 secrets, right, and you play this, there's a chance that the first secret you play spawns the second secret that you have. And that's going to suck.
Oh, yeah.
So like you have like an explosive trap and a snake trap, and you play an explosive trap and you get a snake trap. So
yeah,
you can't
so then you have a dead card in your hand.
Okay. I understand I see what you're saying.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
Just another reason.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
All right, Gnome Feratu, Warlock, Epic.
Oh, baby.
2 mana, 2/3, Battle Cry. Remove the top card from your opponent's deck. RayC.
What I see is a River Crocodilus that for some reason has a purple background instead of a neutral one. I'm not really sure why they did that.
Fair.
But that's
JR.
That is.
So I think this card like has potential to be pretty fun. It's not so much that I see this getting played a lot, but I like the idea of messing with your opponent's deck. And I've been saying this for a long time, since the beginning of this podcast, even before we started this podcast, since the beginning of Hearthstone. I want a mechanic that messes with the player's hand. And Blizzard has said over and over again that would be unfun because they don't want they don't want another player to be able to force a player to discard their cards. So I got to thinking about this card, and I got to thinking, wouldn't it be cool if Blizzard, instead of discarding a card, did something where had a card, put a card back on top of their deck. And then you could play something like this card to then end up removing that card from the deck. So you have a combo going there.
Right.
And when I see that kind of excites me, because all this card really does right now is it forces your opponent to overdraw, quote unquote, without actually overdrawing. Because, you know, if they draw with 10 cards, the same effect happens. You get to see the card, and it goes in the discard pile. It removes it from the game. Right. And I think that's kind of cool. Like, I could see potential of possible combos if Blizzard ever
do we lose
the space a little bit more.
Got it. You cut out on that last sentence really quick, JR. Can you repeat that sentence, please?
No, I'm hoping that Blizzard explores situations like this a little bit more. This kind of mechanic a little bit more, where you mess with your opponent's deck or hand.
Right. So if I understand this correctly, right now with the cards that we have, the word top is irrelevant right now. Right? Because it could be top, it could be bottom, it could be random, and it wouldn't matter because there's no way to manipulate placement in your or your opponent's deck. However, if we start seeing cards exactly what you said, JR, well, it does do one thing. It's confirmation bias, right? Like, my best card always goes to the top kind of thing, you know? Oh, that was the card I needed. There's going to be lots of tears, salty tears. But at the end of the day, right now, it might as well just stay random right now. Going forward, there's huge implications to being able to manipulate the top of that card, right? So, I don't know. I think it's or the top of the deck. So I think it's really interesting from that standpoint. That
and I could see it as kind of like a dirty rat, where the card is kind of, when it first came out, people didn't really pay a lot of attention to it, and then it ended up being really good. I could see this card being a potential of that, where it's messing with something on your opponent, in your opponent's deck or hand.
I feel that it's definitely intended to, like, try to break up a combo or something. If you want to play a deck like this, it would try to be to break up a combo. And I feel that that's really interesting why they printed it in Warlock. If you're playing Warlock, you most of the time, unless you beat your opponent, you're going to lose to a combo because you're tapping, your health's not full. I feel that this card, and like, you're not going to win in any mill style thing as Warlock because you're always 10 cards ahead in fatigue. But I feel that it's really interesting they printed it in Warlock as opposed to like a warrior or a druid or even a rogue, because you'd be able to put a real use to it. Blizzard's testing the waters with this card. They're saying, can we go and sneak in like deck removal from your opponent? And well, in that one instance where you disrupt their combo, it's going to feel really good. But how often does that happen? But that's not saying that I'm not going to try out a mill Warlock. I definitely feel that you put in some Cold Light Oracles, brand this card. You go put in Curse of Rafaam. You put in a bunch of really janky cards. You could make a really fun deck. You could make it like there's going to be a lot of fun that I'm going to have memeing around with this card.
Cool. All right, last one that we're going to get out of here. Blood Queen Lanathal. 5 mana, 1/6. Reads, Lifesteal has +1 attack for each card you've discarded this game. Ray, discard Warlock, is it going to be a thing?
I just want to say we spent a lot of time talking about a River Crocolisk, but this card is pretty cool. It can work from your deck, so it's not like you have to have it in your hand for it to get buffed. I don't know how good discard Warlock is going to be necessarily, because the discard mechanic is so awkward most of the time. Just because, like, sometimes you discard your good cards, but a lot of the cards that use it are just super powerful, like Doomguard. You have cards like the Silverware Golem that are just insane if you hit them. So this card could make some type of mid-range, like, discard Warlock thing more viable. One thing about the Gnome thingy-majigger, does that count as a discarded card or no?
It discards your opponent's card? I don't know.
Like, that could be a game changer. Then it might not be a River Crocolisk anymore, but I still think it is, probably.
I don't think so. I think it would say, like,
Yeah.
discard the top, or, like, put the top card from your opponent's deck into your hand, then discard it.
It's not
Is that what they
actually
would
in
have
your
to?
hand, so it's not discarded.
Yeah, it would have to be the wording would have to be different, I think.
All right. Not a River Clock. I understand. Okay, but this card's cool though. I really like this card. It has good stats. Well, a 6 health is on a 5-drop. That's like Druid of the Claw stats almost, but it could be better or worse. I don't know. But it could be. It's all right. It's solid lifesteal. I like it.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me. The thing that I've been saying religiously about Warlock is that it needs healing. I've been saying that over and over and over, and now Warlock finally has some way to heal. So even if you're getting this up to like 3 health and you trade into like a 2 or 3 drop, you're getting like 6 health from a 5 drop, which is better. It's similar to like maybe an antique heal bot, maybe a little bit slower, but you can also make it ridiculous. You can buff it up crazy and have something ridiculous as well. I think this card is going to, if discard Warlock becomes a thing, it's most likely because of this card.
I'm sad that it's not a demon though, but it's a vampire, right? So I guess it can't be a demon. It could be a demon vampire though.
I think too many people are looking at this card going, this only goes in discard Warlock, when I don't believe that is the case. Because there are good cards that Warlock uses that have the discard mechanic that you can put those in and put this in with those cards, and it would still be okay. Doomguard, for example, is one of them, where if you discard 2, now you've got a 3/6 with lifesteal. But Soulfire, I know some Warlock decks play that aren't discard Warlock decks. I could see this fitting in with something that plays like double Doomguard or double Soulfire and still be okay.
What's the name of the taunt discard one? Lethari something.
I know what you're talking about.
The 4 attack, 8 health. Is it 8 health? I don't know what it is.
It's a 3/8 or a 4/8 or something, and it costs 4 mana. I know what you're talking about. Lethari Fellhound or something.
Yeah, that's it.
Fellhound.
That could be an interesting thing in some mid-range Warlock, right? Where you play that and then you just dump this one after.
I'm on the JR train with this one. I don't think you really have to go that deep. I think you only need to buff this card like maybe 2 or 3 times, and it's going to be really good.
Yeah. Lifesteal, I don't know what people are putting on for the mana value for lifesteal, but a vanilla 4/6 for 5 is not awful. And add lifesteal, that's obviously a good thing. And it grows as you discard more cards. So it's not a battle cry.
Yeah, no, it grows everywhere. It's always growing.
Yeah.
Forever.
That's in your deck and in your hand. A lot of people are like, well,
or on the board.
Yeah, or on the board. Or in the graveyard.
If you can revive it.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways you can, but
whoa, wait, what about that dude that like the death rattle? It brings back cards that you discarded. So like you discard this card, but then you bring it back. Mind blown.
Dun dun dun. That's it. We're done. I've had enough of you hooligans, okay?
I had fun, John.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Your card reviews, Ray, were just bad. Just
What?
Oh,
I agree.
shots fired.
Ooh,
Oh
rip.
my god.
Anyways, it was good fun. We promised you a longer show. We gave you a longer show, that's for sure. We're at, what, an hour 35? So you're welcome. It was good fun, though. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. If you've got any thoughts, questions, ideas, things you want to be heard on the show, send us your emails to wellmet@blizzpro.com. Big thank you to our well-met legends, TheRealBen Correl, and welcome to our new patron, Renee G. Thank you so much for your support of the show. No new iTunes this week, but iTunes reviews help a lot. So if you like the show, leave a 5-star review. We'll make JR mispronounce your name on the next show. It'll be a good time. Let's do some shout outs for the week and where people can find you. Danny.
You can find me on Twitter at DannyDonuts_HS. And you know what? This week I want to give a shout out to Ben Brode, who's going to supplement the meme train for the next week and a half.
Nice. Very nice. Ray, what about you? Shout outs for the week. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at EG_RayC and on Twitch at RayC591. Shout outs to, oh man, I don't know. You, John, for an amazing game night. There we go.
That was a meme night for sure. Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. By the way, if you haven't, we announce game nights. We do a game night at least once a month. Patrons get priority seats in these game nights, but everybody is welcome to play along. We typically play community games. Although next time I want to play PUBG with you guys. Do little squads.
That would be fun.
I've been playing a lot of PUBG and it's a lot of fun. So we should find time to do that. But yeah. So you should definitely come hang out for our patron game nights because they're a blast. There's no better way to spend a Friday or a Saturday night. JR, hey, shout outs for the week. Where can people find you?
So I actually have a shout out to HS Deck Tech and Oda QMZ over on BlizzPro for helping me keep this Otaku. Yes, thank you. Not only can you give us an iTunes name, and I will mispronounce it, I'll also mispronounce your name, even though I've known you for like a year. So, but no, I give a shout out to those guys because they've been helping me update the Frozen Throne spoiler list. They can find over at hearthstone.blizzpro.com. They've been doing an excellent job. We've been keeping that updated within like an hour or two when cards get revealed. So if you ever want to see what cards are coming out, definitely check that out. I've been trying to hit it up on Twitter on getting those out as well. On Twitter, you can find me at Eldorian.
Awesome. Alrighty then. As for me, you can find me everywhere at KickedTripod. A special shout out. Thank you to everybody who has been checking out our Destiny podcast. Episode 1 actually crossed 1,000 downloads in the first week, which is really cool. So thank you guys so much. If you like Destiny, go to r2ocast.com. That's R the letter 2 the number O the letter cast.com. You can find links to everything right there. We record on Tuesdays, so I'll be live tomorrow morning recording with Sean, discussing how the beta went and everything else. It'll be a blast. So if you're into Destiny, come hang out. r2ocast.com. And yeah, and I'm streaming a ton at twitch.tv/KickedTripod. So definitely come hang out with us there. All right. Thanks for joining us for episode 118 of Well Met. We record at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Mondays, and you can find more awesome Hearthstone content throughout the week at hearthstone.blizzpro.com. Make sure to check us out on Twitter at WellMet Podcast. Email us wellmet@blizzpro.com with comments, questions, and ideas you have for the show. Whew. Thanks to Jake Butno for our awesome music. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.